Good day, everyone. Today we're going to tackle about the institutional correction. So let's move on to Module 3. And by the way, my name is Rosalyn Pajulas. So let's continue. So, institutional agencies in the Philippines. So the DOJ pursues its mandate through its agencies. These are the following: the Bureau of Corrections, Bureau of Immigration, National Bureau of Investigation, Parole and Probation Administration, Presidential Commission on Good Government, Public Attorney's Office, Office for Alternative Dispute Resolution, Office of the Government Corporate Counsel, Office of the Solicitor General, and we have the Land Registration Authority. So the Bureau of Corrections or the BUCOR is in charge with custody and rehabilitation of national offenders, that is, those sentenced to serve a term of imprisonment of more than 3 years. So when we see the Bureau of Correction, they're in charge of those an inmate who are sentenced to serve the term of imprisonment more than 3 years. So they are taking good care of the inmate, and they're going to educate them. So next, we have the Bureau of Immigration. In accordance with the revised Administrative Code of 1987, the Commission on Immigration and Deportation was renamed Bureau of Immigration, as it is more properly called today. Under this code, the Bureau is composed of three structural units, namely the Office of the Commissioner, the Board of Commissioners, and the Board of Special Inquiry. These groups act as collegial bodies and exercises quasi-judicial powers affecting the entry and stay of foreign nationals in the country. So that is Bureau of Immigration. So as you can see the picture in the side, that is the logo of Bureau of Immigration. So we have the National Bureau of Investigation. The main objective of the National Bureau of Investigation is the establishment and maintenance of a modern, effective, and efficient investigative service and research agency for the purpose of implementing fully principal functions provided under Republic Act Number 157 as amended. So, National Bureau of Investigation. So from the words investigation, they are going to investigate those crime. So as you can see at the picture, that is the logo of NBI, or National Bureau of Investigation. So we have the Parole and Probation Administration. The Parole and Probation Administration, or PPA, provides a less costly alternative to imprisonment of offenders who are likely to respond to individualized community-based treatment programs. Probation was first introduced in the Philippines during the American colonial period in 1898 to 1945 with the enactment of Act No. 4221 of the Philippine Legislature on August 7, 1935. This law created a probation office under the Department of Justice. On November 16, 1937, after barely 2 years of existence, the Supreme Court of the Philippines declared the probation law unconstitutional because of some defects in the law's procedural framework. So, when we say parole, this is the temporarily uh, temporarily free of the inmate. So, and the probation, when we say probation, that is the community rehabilitation. So that is Presidential Commission on Good Government. So the Presidential Commission on Good Government shall be charged with the task of assisting the President in the recovery of ill-gotten wealth accumulated by former President Ferdinand E. Marcos, his immediate family, relatives, subordinates, and close associates. So they are in charge of assisting the President. So, whether located in the Philippines or abroad, including the takeover or sequestration of all business enterprises and entities owned or controlled by them during his administration directly or through nominees by taking undue advantage of their public office and or using their powers, authority, influence, connection, or relationship. The investigation of such cases of graft and corruption as the President may assign to the Commission from time to time, and the adoption of safeguards to ensure that the above practices shall not be repeated in any manner under the new government, and the institution of adequate measures to prevent the occurrence of corrupt. So the Public Attorney's Office or the PAO exists to provide the indigent litigants, the oppressed, marginalized, and underprivileged members of the society free access to courts, judicial, and quasi-judicial agencies by rendering legal services, counseling, and assistance in consonance with the constitutional mandate that free access to courts shall not be denied to any person by reason of poverty in order to ensure the rule of law, truth, and social justice as components of the country's sustainable development. So, when you see public attorney's office or powder, so they are the attorneys, they are public attorneys, so they are going to help those um those people who are not who can't afford private attorneys, so they're free to they're free to protect those people who are abused. So they that so we have the Office of Alternative Dispute Resolution. So to promote, develop, and expand the use of alternative dispute resolution in the private and public sectors, and to assess government to monitor, study, and evaluate the sue by the public and the private sector of ADR, and recommend the Congress needful statutory changes to develop, strengthen, and improve ADR practices in accordance and with world standards. So we have the Office of the Government Corporate Council. So the Office of the Government Corporate Council, or OGCC, was founded on December 1, 1935 as a government council division under the Department of Justice. To date, it has emerged as the premier law office of government-owned and controlled corporation, their subsidiaries, other corporate upstreams, and government-acquired asset corporations. So, Office of the Solicitor General. So, the Office of the Solicitor General, which is an independent and anonymous office attached to the Department of Justice for budgetary purposes and the legal representative of the government of the Republic of the Philippines. Its agencies and instrumentalities and its officials and agents in any litigation, proceeding, investigation, or matter requiring the services of lawyer before the local court systems or international fora. So we have last the Land Registration Authority. So the Land Registration Authority is mandated to issue decrees of registration and certificates of titles and registered documents, patents, and other land transactions for the benefit of landowners, agrarian reform beneficiaries, and the registering public in general, to provide a secure, stable, and trustworthy record of land ownership and recorded interest therein so as to promote social and economic well-being and contribute to national development. So, this is very obvious that Land Registration Authority is they are going to take charge of those landowner. So, Code of Galintao. So, in the famous epic story of Maragtas, there was the mythical legal code called the Code of Galintao. It was named after its supposed author Dato Galintao, who allegedly wrote it in 1433. Dato Galintao was a chief on the island of Negros. It was written about by Jose A. Marco in 1913 in his historical fiction Las Antiguas Leyendas de la Isla de Negros, or the ASEAN Legends of the Island of Negros. He ascribed its source to a priest named Jose Maria Pavon. The historian Jose Sancoya wrote about the Code of Galintao in 1917 is his book Historia Prehispania de Filipinas, or Pre-Hispanic History of the Philippines. So where he transferred the location of the origin of the code from Negros to Panay because he contended that said code may be related to the Binarayan festival. So, the story in this code has been recognized through the ages by known authors in 1968. However, historian William Henry Scott called this a hoax in his book, Pre-Hispanic Source Materials for the Study of Philippine History. Consequently, Filipino historians agreed to expunge the Code of Galintao in future materials on the Philippine history. So we have the Code of Galintao. We have the article number 1. You shall not kill, neither shall you steal. Neither shall you do harm to the aged, lest you incur the danger of death. All those who infringe this order shall be condemned to death by being drowned in the river or in boiling water. So in this article number 1, you shall not kill. So it means that you will never kill. So if you do, you will be punished to death, or punished by putting you in the boiling water. So we have the article number 2. You shall obey, let all your debts with the headman be met punctually. He who does not obey shall receive for the first time 100 lashes. If the debt is large, he shall be condemned to thrust his hand in boiling water thrice. For the second time he shall be beaten to death. So you shall be obey. You will follow what are the command, something like that. So we have the article number 3. Obey you, let no one have women that are very young, nor more than he can support, nor be given to excessive lust. He who does not comply with, obey, and observe this order shall be condemned to swim for 3 hours for the first time, and for the second time to be beaten to death with sharp thrown. So you shall be obey, or you will be punished to swim for 3 hours and then beaten to death with horns. So we have the article number 4. Observe and obey. Let no one disturb the quiet of the graves. When passing by the caves and trees where they are, give respect to them. He who does not observe this shall be killed by ants or beaten to death with thorns. So when you pass by the trees or the caves, you must respect them. You have to respect in order for you to show them. You have to show them a respect, or else you will be punished to death. So article number 5. You shall obey who has exchanges for food. Let be always done in accordance with his word. He who does not comply shall be beaten for 1 hour. He who repeat the offense shall be exposed for 1 day among. And so you shall obey and exchange for food. You must be you will give for those who in need. So article number 6. You shall be obliged to revere sites that are held in respect, such as those of trees of recognized worth and other sites. He who fails to comply shall pay with 1 month's work in gold or in honey. So article number 7. They shall be put to death he who kills trees of venerable appearance, who shoot arrows at night on old men and women. He who enters the houses of the headmen without permission, he who kills a shark or a snake caiman. So you have to you will so you don't you will never kill the or cut those trees, and you have to ask the permission if ever you will enter the headman's house. So article number 8, slavery for a dom or a certain period of time shall be suffered by those who steal away the women of the headman, by him who keep ill-tempered dogs that bite the headman, by him who burns the fields of another. So you shall not steal the woman of headman. So article number 9, all this shall be beaten for 2 days who sing while traveling by night, kill the manual, tear the documents belonging to the headman, are malicious liars, or who mock the dead. So you're not allowed to sing while you are traveling at night, or else you will be punished to death. So article number 10, this is the agreed on obligation that every mother teach secretly to her daughters matters pertaining to lust and prepare them for womanhood. Let not men be cruel, nor punish their women when they catch them in the act of adultery. Whoever shall disobey shall be killed by being cut to pieces and thrown to the cayman. So those mothers who have daughters, you have to teach them secretly. So article number 11, they shall be born who by strength or cunning have mocked at an escaped punishment, or who have killed young boys, or tried to steal away the women of the elders. So article number 12, there shall be drawn all who in fear with their superiors or their owners or master, all these who abuse themselves to their lust, those who destroy their anetos or idols by breaking them or throwing them down. So article number 13, all these shall be exposed once for half a day, who kill black cats during the new moon, or steal anything from the chiefs of Aruga, Agorangs, however small the object may be. So in order for you to not be punished by expose you in the ants, you have to not kill those black cats in new moons. So article number 14, they shall be made a slave for life, who have beautiful daughters and deny them to the sons of chiefs, and with bad feet hide them away. So you don't have to hide your daughter's beauty. So article number 15, concerning beliefs and superstitions, they shall be beaten who eat the deceased flesh of beasts which they hold in respect, or the herb which they consider good, who wound or killed the young of the manual or the white monkey. So article number 16, the finger shall be cut off of all those who break idols of wood and clay in their elegance and temples, of those who destroy the daggers of the Tagalons or break the drinking jars of the latter. So if you ever break those mga statue or something like that, they were going to cut your fingers. Article number 17, they shall be killed who profane seats where idols are kept, and sites where are born to scared things of the diwatas and headmen. He who performs his necessities in those places shall be born. So article number 18, those who do not cause those rules to be obeyed, if they are headmen, they shall be put to death by being stoned and crushed. And if they are agorangs, they shall be placed in rivers to be beaten by sharks and caimans. So the New Bilibid Prison or in BP in Montelupa, Metro Manila is the main insular penitentiary designed to house the prison population of Philippines. It is maintained by the Bureau of Correction or Bucor under the Department of Justice as of November 2021. The NBP housed 228,545 inmates, which exceeds its ideal capacity of 600 6,435. In 1940, the Commonwealth government transferred prisoners to the NBP from the old Bilibid prison, or Spanish Cárcel y Presidio Correccional, or Correctional Jail and Military Prison in Manila. These remnants of the old facility were repurposed by City of Manila as an own detention center known today as Manila City Jail. This is the new prison who who this prison, the other inmates from the old Bilibid prison transferred it to the new Bilibid prison because the old Bilibid prison is too old and then it's really crowded. So they make their new building for the inmate. So it's called the new Bilibid prison. So the old Bilibid prison, then known as Cárcel y Presidio Correccional, or the Correctional Jail and Military Prison, occupied a rectangular piece of land that was part of the Mahaleg estate in the heart of Manila. The old prison was established by the Spanish colonial government on June 25, 1865 via royal decree. It was divided into two sections, the Carcel, which could accommodate 600 inmates, and the Presidio, which could hold 527 prisoners. So, as you can see at the picture, that is the picture of Old Bilibid prison. So, the Old Bilibid prison continued to be used by the Japanese Kimpeteya of military police for holding special prisoners throughout their occupation of Manila and Luzon. General Vicente Lim was among those interned there. The Battle of Manila began on February 3, 1945, and that evening the civilian in the old Bilibid prison heard the unmistakable sound of American voices outside the walls. The American soldiers outside, however, seemed unaware of the prisoners inside Bilibid, but had the objective of liberating the 4,000 civilian internees of Santo Tomas internment camp 2 kilometers 1 mile away. The battle near the prison raged all that night, but the next morning the Japanese guards abandoned Bilibid, leaving a message to the POWs and internees that they should avoid leaving Bilibid, and posting a sign at the gate advising lawfully released prisoners of war and internees are quartered here. So we have the San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm. So according to historical accounts, the San Ramon Prison was established in southern Zamboanga on August 21, 1840 through a royal decree promulgated in 1869. So as you can see at the picture, the black and white color is the old picture of San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm. And the other one is the new picture of, that is, I think that is the picture for that's the building for now. That's the San Ramon Prison. So it is established during the tenure of Governor General Ramon Blanco. His patron saint the prison was named after. The facility was originally for persons convicted of political crimes. Considered the oldest penal facility in the country, prisoners in San Ramon were required to do agricultural work. During the Spanish-American War in 1898, the prisoners in San Ramon were hastily released and the buildings destroyed. In 1907, the American administration re-established the prison farm. In 1912, General John Pershing, chief executive of the Department of Mindanao and Sulu. So, Governor General Ramon Blanco. So, the founder of San Ramon Prison, established during the tenure of Governor General Ramon Blanco. So that's the picture of Governor General Ramon Blanco, who is the founder of San Ramon Prison. So San Ramon Prison, considered the oldest penal facility in the country, here in the Philippines. So, prisoners in San Ramon were required to do agricultural work during the Spanish-American War in 1898. The prisoners in San Ramon were hastily released and the building destroyed. So, the prisoner of the prisoner of San Ramon are required to do the agricultural work. So, they must do the agricultural work every day. So Ihawig Penal Colony. So the unique prison without bars was established by the Americans in 1904. The inmates tend vast farms instead of idly spending time behind bars. So the Ihawig Penal Colony is very unique because that that prison are uh, don't have any don't have any uh um bar. So uh it's really common that all the prisoners, all the all the all the prison here in the country is they all have bars, but the Ihawig Penal Colony really don't have the bars. So the more enterprising earned by making handkerchief and other productive activities during their spare time. Ihawig has since become synonymous to finding handcrafted bags and other souvenir items. So, the Hawi prison and penal farm is the one of the most popular prison in the Philippines. It was established in 1902 by the United States for the Filipino prisoners who had fought with the Americans during their colonization in the Philippines. So the San Ramon prisons are making handkerchief, handcrafted bags, and other souvenirs items. So the Ihawig Prison Penal Farm is very popular prison in the Philippines. So we have Lieutenant George Wolfe, uh, Superintendent of Ihawig Penal Colony. The institution had for its first superintendent Lieutenant George Wolfe, a member of the U.S. Expeditionary Force who later became the first prison's director. Governor Luke Ritz authorized the establishment of a penal colony in the province of Palawan on November 16, 1904. So as you can see the picture, that is Lieutenant George Wolfe, who is the superintendent of Ihawig Penal Colony. So Ihawig Penal Colony, this facility was established during American occupation. It was, however, during the Spanish regime that Puerto Princesa was designated as a place where offenders sentenced to a banishment were exiled. So a specific area of Puerto Princesa was selected as the site for a correctional facility. So before, the offenders had to be sentenced as a banishment. So their punishment is the banishment. So Governor Lucret authorized and established a penal colony in the province of Palawan on November 16, 1904. This penal settlement, which originally comprised an area of 22 hectares, originally served as the depository for prisoners who could not be accommodated at the beloved prison in Manila. So that is Governor Lucret. So in 1906, however, the Department of Commerce and Police, which later became the Department of Public Instruction, moved to turn the institution into the center of penal colony supervised in accordance with the trends at the time. Through the department efforts, the Philippine Commission of the United States government passed Act Number 1723 in 1907, classifying the settlement as the penal institution. So we have the Correctional Institute for Women. So the Correctional Institution for Women is for, of course, this is for only the women. So they are separated from male prisoners. So this is for only those women offenders. Located in Mandaluyong, Metro Manila, Philippines, the prison is operated by the Bureau of Correction. The prison first opened on a 18-hectare property on February 14, 1931. Previously, women were held at the old Bilibid prison. So when the Philippines had the death penalty, female inmates condemned to death were held at CIW. Ron Klockman of Asian Week described the women's death row as appearing like a secondary school. So the correctional institution for women has three different camps, namely the maximum security compound, which consists of the old and new building, the medium security camp, and minimum security camp. So in Manila, Philippines, the correctional institution for women, or SIDA IW, served as the new place of detention of alleged pork barrel scam mastermind Janet Liam Napoles after she was found guilty on Tuesday, April 15, of serious illegal detention. So, the women's prison will now serve as the new home of Napoles, who was transferred early Tuesday morning from her detention at Camp Bagong Diwa in Taguig City. So, the CIW located in Mandaluyong City is the country's first and only penal institution dedicated to women offenders. So it was one of the 7 operating units under the Bureau of Correction Bucor. So they have the 7 operating units under the Bureau of Correction. So we have the New Bilibid Prison on Muntinlupa City, Ihawig Prison and Penal Farm, in Puerto Princesa City, Palawan, Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm in Occidental Mindoro, San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm in Zamboanga City, Leyte Regional Prison in Abuyog, Leyte, Davao Prison and Penal Farm in Panabo, Davao del Norte. So, it was CIW was born via the signing of Act Number 3579 on November 1929, which authorized the transfer of all women inmates of the old Bilibid prison in Manila to a new facility. Some 270 female inmates were transferred on February 1931 to a building in Mandaluyong. So it was later renamed the CIW in keeping with emerging trends in penology, which emphasize correction rather than punishment. So by the time in 2013, President Benigno Aquino the third signed Republic Act 1057-5, which modernized the Bucor by upgrading his facilities, increasing the number of personnel, upgrading the level of qualifications of their personnel, and standardizing their base pay, retirement, and other benefits. This law aims to improve, among others, so the old Bilibid prison. So on June 25, 1865, the old Bilibid prison, the first national penitentiary in the country, was established in Manila under a Spanish Royal Decree. It was divided into 2 sections, the Carcel section housing 600 inmates and the Presidio accommodating 527 prisoners. So the old prison's equipment and facility were transferred to the new Bilibid prison in 1940. So we have the Davao Penal Colony. So Davao Prison and the Penal Farm, formerly the Davao Penal Colony or the DAPICOL, was established on January 21, 1932 in Panabo City, Davao del Norte, Philippines. So it has land area of 30,000 hectares with a prison reservation of 8,000 hectares. During the World War II, the Davao Penal Colony was the biggest prison establishment in the country, which was used by the Japanese invading armies as their imperial garrison. So on October 7, 1931, Governor Dwight Davis signed Proclamation 414, which reserved a site for penal colony in Davao Province in Mindanao. And on January 21, 1932, the Davao Penal Colony was formally established under Act Number 3732. During World War II, it was used by the Philippine American Armed Forces, where More than 1,000 Japanese were treated in accordance with the orders of American accommodating officer. The Japanese Imperial Army attacked Davao on December 20, 1941, and the colony was among the established that were taking over the Imperial Army. So in 1942, as Japanese troops closed in on the colony, many guards simply ran away and many prisoners escaped during the confusion. During the Japanese occupation period, it was taken over by the Japanese army as the prisoners of war camp. About 2,000 Americans were held at Davao during the war. So, prisoners were treated harshly in manners typically of most prisoners of war camps run by the Japanese during this period. So, several hundred former Davao prisoners were aboard the transport Senyo Maro when she was sunk by submarine USS Padol off the coast of Mindanao on September 7, 1947. When American troops arrived at Davao Penal Colony, they encountered bodies of dead prisoners decomposing of the places of their deaths without having been buried. So, Governor Dwight Davis is the Davao Penal Colony timeline. Governor Dwight Davis of the Penal signed a proclamation which reserved a large tract of land on Mindanao, Philippines for the construction of a penal colony. Davao Penal Colony was formally established in Davao, now Panabo, Philippines. So, Governor Dwight Davis is the founder of Davao Penal Colony. So, we have the Sablayan Penal Farm. As of November 2021, about 526 inmates in the Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm in the Philippines used to be farmers or gardeners. The prison facility is located in Occidental Mindoro, that is part of the Memorupa region of the Philippines with approximately 335.5 crime incidents per 100,000 individuals. So, a wonderfully quickly experience, this penal colony 40 minutes out of town offenders much more than a chance to meet a great prisoners in their element. Various prisoners guided excursion in the lost forest around the farm are the offered, and you can even sleep within earshot or snoring prisoners in prison guest house. You must secure an environmental permit from the ecotourism office in Sablayan to enter the prison grounds and then pay the separate admission price of the prison proper. Prisoners throughout the compound greet visitors cheerfully, wearing uniform t-shirts that say minimum or medium inmate. So maximum security inmates are kept away from visitors, but the orange maximum short sold discreetly by some inmates make great souvenirs. So sleeping at the gatehouse requires written permission in advance arranged through the ecotourism office. So the prison from makes a perfect half-day excursion from Sablayan by single about 8,000 pesos or self-drive motorbike. So the easiest way to get there is to follow the National Highway North out of Sablayan. So Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm, nearer to Manila than other penal colonies. The Sablayan Penal Colony is located in Occidental Mindoro and relatively new, and established on September 26, 1954 by virtue of Presidential Proclamation No. 72. The penal colony has a total land area of approximately 16,190 hectares. So the prison's record show that the first colonies and employees arrived in Sablayan on January 15, 1955. Since then, several buildings have been constructed, including the colonists' dormitories, employees' quarters, guardhouse, schoolhouse, chapel, recreation hall, and post exchange. So there are sub-colonies were later organized. One is a reservation which today remains part of protected rainforest. Another is in a coastal area. The third was used by the national government as a relocation site for refugees for the eruption of Mount Pinatubo eruption in 1991. So, Sablayan Prison is a facility where prisoners from NBP are brought for decongestion purposes. It follows the same colony standard as another penal farm. So, unlike the other or the usual penal colony, the prisoners are here almost enjoying their freedom. Instead of being locked down inside concrete structure with metal bars, they can roam around the area without so much restriction. So they are also made to till the land area so as to have their own supply of at least basic food requirements for during their stay. So also the prisoners are also allowed to build their nipa huts, and since it is a mix of different religion, churches and worship houses were constructed to cater various religions of the prisoners. So some inmates were also allowed to have their wife or husband to live with them inside the colony. So it is evident by some playground around the area. So the penal also provides an access road to vehicle from Sablayan going to Abra de Ilog Port. So Leyte Regional Prison. As of November 2021, among all the inmates in the Leyte Regional Prison in the Philippines, 888 used to be farmers or gardeners. So the province of Leyte is home approximately 2.4 million people in the country. So the warning was issued after personnel of LRP located in Aboyong town in southern Leyte demolished a bungalow type structure constructed beside Post Tower 1 of the maximum security camp. So in a statement, LRP said that the demolition was part of implementation of 50-meter buffer zone for all security camps. In a compliance with the standing directive of Bureau Corrections, Director General Rizal Q. Bantag to enhance security of the prison, eliminate possible threats, prevent and eradicate contrabands, and provide as a safer environment for the persons deprived of liberty or PDLS. So it is also composed of two communities, the enclosed community and the open community. So prisoners who are in the enclosed community are those who belong to the medium and maximum security, while prisoners who are in the open community belongs to minimum security. So as of March 19, 1997, there are about 980 prisoners housed in the regional prison with 204 at the maximum security, 550 at the medium security, and 226 at the minimum security prison. So the prisons admit convicted offenders from Region 6 and from the National Penitentiary in Muntinlupa. So the Leyte Regional Prison and Penal Farm is the youngest among the Bureau of Correction penal colonies. So the Leyte Regional Prison was created by virtue of PD number 28 and was established on January 16, 1973 under Presidential Decree number 1101. So, Director of the Philippine Bureau of Correction. So the agency has its headquarters in the New Bilibid Prison Reservation in Muntinlupa. It is headed by Corrections Director General Yusik Gerald Quataleg Bantag. The Bureau has 2,862 employees, 61% of whom are custodial uniform officers, 32% are non-uniform personnel, and 6% are members of the medical services. So we have the provincial jail system. Provincial jail system was first established in 1910 under the American regime, supervised and controlled by the provincial government and headed by the provincial jail warden. So the office of provincial warden shall provide safe and total detainment and rehabilitation or restoration of detainees under its custody. So the office of provincial warden is committed to carry out effective implementation of all programs, projects, and activities relating to jail detainment and rehabilitation of prisoners being sentenced and detained or held for trial by the Court of Justice. So, an institution managed by God-centered professionals and trained personnel to serve as the principal catalyst for rehabilitation or restoration that leads to reformation of the social physical and spiritual aspects of person being detained to develop as law-abiding citizens for individual reintegration into the mainstream of society. So there are four classes of prisoners, that is insular or national prisoners, that is one who is sentenced to a prison term of 3 years and 1 day to death. So we have the provincial prisoner, one who is sentenced to a prison term of 6 months and 1 day to 3 years. So city prisoner, one who is sentenced to a prison term of 1 day to 3 years. And we have the municipal prisoner, one who is sentenced to a prison term of 1 day to 6 months. So, three types of detainees. We have those undergoing investigation, two, those awaiting or undergoing trial, and we have number 3, those awaiting final judgment. So, Bureau of Correction or Bucor has for its principal task the rehabilitation of national prisoners. So, or those sentenced to serve a term of imprisonment of more than 3 years. So correction focus on rehabilitation and regards inmates as patients who need treatment and guidance in order to become productive and responsible members of society upon their release. So Bureau of Child and Youth Welfare. So Presidential Decree number 603 as amended was proclaimed to provide for the care and treatment of youth offenders from the time of apprehension up to the termination of the case. The Bureau provides intensive treatment for the rehabilitation of youth offenders on suspended sentence. So, under the said law, a youth offender is defined as a child, minor, or youth who is over 9 years but under 18 years of age at the time of the commission of the offense. So, probation, it is the status of accused who, after conviction and sentence, is released subject to conditions imposed by the court and to supervision of the probation officer. It is privilege granted by the court. It is cannot be availed of as a matter of right by a person convicted of crime. To be able to enjoy the benefits of probation, it must first be shown that applicant has none of the disqualification imposed by law. So, when we say probation, this is the community rehabilitation. So, you have a freedom to go outside. So, probation is you have to follow the rules while you are in the community rehabilitation. So, jail decongestion program or Oplan decongestion. In 1993, the DOJ launched a jail decongestion program designed to facilitate the release of inmates. To implement the program, a memorandum of agreement was entered into between among the Public Attorney's Office or PAO National Prosecution Services and the three correction agencies of the DOJ, Bucor, PPA, and BPP. The agreement aims to help the government deconstruct jails. So, Public Attorney's Office or PAO. The Public Attorney's Office or PAO is an attached agency of the Department of Justice which provides indigent litigants free legal assistance. So, provide indigent sector access to counsel at the time of need, implement a constitutional guarantee of the free access to courts, due process, and be able protection of the laws, provide indigent to be a good-centered and dynamic bureaucracy that is responsive to the ever-growing legal needs of the indigents, led by highly competent, world-class development-oriented and nationalistic leaders. So the PAO came into being in response to the challenge for government agencies for the advancement and protection of legal rights to the less privileged sector of our society as enshrined in the Philippine Constitution. To send as aware of the PAO was implemented in August 30, 1954 with Republic Act No. 1999, created the Agricultural Tenancy Commission, which was later renamed as Tenancy Mediation Commission. So, however, the economic and social changes that occurred since this then as well as the demands of the time, invariably blow the winds of public clamor for more accessible legal services to our people, thus necessitating expansion of agrarian-related assistance provided by OTAC to include civil, criminal, administrative, and labor case. So with the advent of the Administrative Code of 1987, on July 25, 1987, the CLAO was renamed Public Attorney's Office or PAO, to the change being merely nominal. The mandate remained the same, that is, to extend legal assistance free of charge to indigent persons, civil, criminal, administrative, and labor cases. So, this swelling workload underscored the fact that there is a demand for free legal services from the indigent sector of the Philippines that must be met if we would safeguard our kind of society. Keeping pace with this daunting task is an actual workforce of 940 lawyers and 760 support staff nationwide. So, the World Bank, the Supreme Court, PILJA, and MCLE committee are in recognition of its mandate of providing free legal services to poor Filipinos accredited the PAO as the mandatory continuing legal education provided as August 5, 2002, thereby allowing the PAO to conduct its own training and seminars for its lawyers. So the PAOs are helping those poor Filipinos. Truly, the PAO has become more accessible to the indigent Filipino masses who are in their need of legal assistance and services. It has become an institution on its own when it comes to providing free legal assistance to whole nation. So, that's all my discussion of correctional institution. So, these are my sources. So, thank you so much for listening. And once again, this is Rosalyn Pajulas.